What's up, guys? Jason here, and you're watching Maine Freshwater Exploration Going Deep. It's kind of a warm, drizzly day, but figured I'd head out to Schoodic Lake and go have a look over by Dead Man's Rock. It's an area of the lake I haven't explored yet. Thought it might be a cool place to see what was going on, so we're gonna head out there for a couple hours and take a look down under the ice. Thank you guys for coming along with me, and we'll see you out there. Alright guys, we're up here at the north end of Schoodic Lake, and we're gonna take a look down below Dead Man's Rock today. So before we get going, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it, see what's going on down there. Certainly interesting area, pretty well-known spot on the lake. I actually want to share the story with you guys from an experience that I had there. That was quite scary, actually. This would have been probably about 15 years ago. Me and a friend of mine were going to do some ice fishing out there, and this would have been early January. The lake would have just froze. We had some cold weather, and the north end of the lake always freezes first, so we decided to make a trip up and do some fishing there. Made it up there in the dark, first thing in the morning, and as we got out onto the lake, it had either just froze that night or the day before, and there was maybe an inch or two of ice. I mean, it was just enough to hold a person. And so we stayed right on the shoreline and made our way over towards where the rock is. And the ice was crystal clear, and it was cracking under our feet, and we really had no business being on it. But obviously, being younger and eager to get out there fishing, we was going to give it a shot, and the plan was to stay in shallow water, have our traps in close to shore. And it was so cold that morning. It was definitely below zero, so I mean, it was making ice, as the day would progress. So we opted to continue on. As we got near the rock, we had set our gear down. We had a couple jet sleds or whatever. And as we were just kind of getting our bearings, all of a sudden we hear splashing. And my buddy had brought his yellow lab with him, as he did most times when we'd go, hunting or fishing or whatever. And so we both kind of looked at each other, wide-eyed, what was that? We both kind of figured out at the same time what it was. And I remember we both snapped our heads over with our headlamps towards the rock, and there was his dog in the water. There'd been some open water right next to the rock, and he must have gone out there. We didn't realize it, and he was in. And I'll never forget seeing the dog, and he had his paws up on the ice and his head up. And now this is a dog that duck hunted a lot, and one of the best ones I've ever, had the chance to hunt with. So this is, of any dogs that I've known, as strong of a swimmer as you'll ever see. And you could tell he was in trouble, and he had a look on his face like he was in trouble. So immediately we started trying to figure out what we were going to do, because he couldn't get himself out, so we were going to have to get him out. And so we started grabbing leads off jet sleds and trying to splice together as much rope as we could, which wasn't much. I bet it was maybe 20 feet at the most. It was probably less than that. And the plan was going to be inch our way out there, and my buddy stripped down to basically his underwear, so he'd have dry clothes to get back onto, depending on what happened. And we were going to ease out to the dog. He was going to go the last few feet and with a rope around him, and I was going to try to yank them both out once he got a hold of the dog. So we inched our way out there. It's dark. You no longer can see bottom through the ice. When we got close enough to the rock and my buddy was going to go the rest of the way, just holding on to the rope and just hoping, and you could feel the ice kind of moving up, and I mean, it was that, still malleable. I mean, it just had froze, and it was like in slow motion. I remember having the light. He had his headlamp on. He was down on his belly on the ice, crawling out to the dog. And I remember just watching and just holding my breath. And then the next thing I remember is just hearing splashing, and then hearing him say, "Pull, pull." And I remember pulling, and then the next thing I know, the dog's scampering past me and shaking off, heading back to shore. And my buddy's up and he's heading back to shore. And so I'm up and I'm heading back to shore. And it was just, I mean, I don't know how that ended up working out, but all three of us were extraordinarily lucky to have come out of that without all of us being in the water. So then we got back to shore, and of course my buddy's wet. He didn't fall into the ice, but obviously the splashing dog and being, right there was wet. Dog was obviously in the water for a few minutes. So proceeded to put up the ice shack and try to get the heater going as fast as I can to get them guys, into some warmth, because it's below zero out. The vehicle's at least probably 5 or 10 minute fast walk away. So, just trying to get them guys warmed up, as quick as possible. And so we did. Buddy was able to get back in his clothes and warmed up. And, of course, the dog warmed up. He's used to swimming in cold water anyways, but obviously not that cold. And, I figured for sure the day was over as far as fishing goes, and which would have been totally fine. But we were there, and everybody's like, "Hey, we're here. We're dry now. We're gonna fish." So we ended up fishing. Obviously was very cautious. Stayed right away from the rock. I mean, it probably doubled the amount of ice that was out there over the course of the day, and we did not catch not one fish. Maybe one wind flag over the course of the day. And certainly lesson learned, as far as being cautious on the ice. Now, granted, that was a rescue mission for the dog. We were okay on the shoreline where we were, but still, things happen. So I think it was the very next day, I saw my buddy again, and before he said anything or anything else, before anything else was said, he handed me these. He says, "Here, we're going to have these moving forward." And this is the exact pair he gave me. I've had them ever since. I always carry them with me just in case. It's ice fishing's awesome. I love it, and I'm very comfortable. Even after that happened, I'm comfortable on the ice, but it's something that you cannot, you certainly can't not respect it. It's something that definitely has to be respected. You got to use common sense. I'm always eager to get right out there and start fishing just as quick as I can, but waiting an extra couple days and sometimes just to give that little bit of extra chance to freeze up so you can be a little bit more safer, it's worth it. No fish or anything like that, certainly worth your life. And that was a very harrowing adventure, and a story I'll always remember, for as long as I'm around, for sure. I want to thank you guys again for joining me, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the next one.